What's poppin'? Logan Murdock here. Howard motherfucking Beck there. Real ones. Yo, where's Roger? He texted us in the chat, by the way, tonight.
Where's Roger? Let's see. It is 1 a.m. Eastern, the time you're asking me this question. I'm going to guess that Roger Bell is sound asleep, tucked away in sleepy time in Miami, Florida.
Oh, yeah. We're live from Los Angeles.
Live-ish.
We're live. Okay, what are we doing? Okay, anyways, so we're talking to you guys minutes after the Golden State Warriors beat the Los Angeles Lakers at Crypto Arena. First of all, we're going to talk about this game. We're going to talk about the Rockets, Oklahoma City. We're going to talk about Michael Jordan later. But first, I just want to talk about Howard Beck back in his old stomping grounds really quickly. It was a sight to behold, brother. I just want to set the stage here. I was trying to leave at the end of the third quarter, right? I wanted to see, a lot of games. I wanted to people watch. I don't go to crypto that often. Laker games are very great people watching settings. It's a great atmosphere. And Howard wanted to leave at halftime. So I said, let's just get to halftime and figure it out, right? And then I was just like, you know what? Maybe I'll see my homies here. And Spotify, a little early, maybe halftime is the way to go. Forget it. Let's do. I did my schmoozing pregame. I saw all the people I needed to see. Let's go. Let's go home, right? The amount of people Beck went to go say, hold on. I'm going to go say hi to this person. I'm going to go say hi to this person. I'm going to go say hi to this person. Was astounding, ladies and gentlemen. What was it like to be back in your old stomping grounds? Your first home opener for the Lakers since 2003.
Yeah, that's still fucking with my brain when I realized, this is cool.
Kids have gone all the way through college since your last.
You're killing me, man. Yes, I know.
Your last appearance.
It hit me. I'm sitting in media seats next to Sam Amick and Malika, and we're sitting there, we're talking about stuff, and all of a sudden I said, you know what, guys? Just hit me. I haven't been to Lakers home opener since 2003, Shaq and Kobe's last season. But that's because I live in New York now, Logan. I'm not usually at LA openers, but still, it is weird. That building has a lot of resonance. I won't lie. Every time I go down, there's a staircase we go down through the media entrance to go down to the press room, and you walk right across the loading dock area where the players are coming in. And it's I've made that walk, I don't know how many hundreds of times. So yes, it's different because the building feels different now. It's got a different name that I won't say. But yeah, it's a thing. And also they've built up the outside. They've done a really great job with that plaza outside. We were walking by. That used to be an open street. It's now a plaza, completely pedestrian oriented. They got all the statues out there. They got the Kobe statue, multiple Kobe statues. And it's I love how much they have celebrated their history. And obviously not just basketball. They've got statues for some of the other sports too. But no, it's good seeing people. And one of the reasons we stopped on the way out that I delayed us a little bit after I was the one who pushed to leave at halftime because I wanted to get back so we could catch the end of the game here at Spotify Studios, here at the Ringer before I wanted to be able to watch. I had to stop and say hey to my old buddy Bill Plaschke from the LA Times.
Of course.
And for those who don't know, Plaschke, not only legend, of course, of the LA Times and legend from around the Horn for people who know him from there, but Bill wrote an incredibly moving column over the summer about how he has been diagnosed with Parkinson's and he has taken up boxing, in a boxing gym with a bunch of other mostly older people who are going through Parkinson's. And this is a way to kind of keep it at bay. And Bill, being Bill, just wrote an incredibly moving and incredibly soul-bearing and very brave, I thought, column. And I hadn't seen him since that appeared. And I really wanted to just kind of be able to touch base with him. So that's why I delayed us. I did say a few other hellos.
Other people we probably won't name.
I don't need to name drop all of them.
Oh, not all of them, but yeah, man. I will say that was there was an annoyance, and I gave you a look when you were like, "Let's hold on." But then I saw you go up to Bill, who's a legend in the game, man, and you guys had a moment, and it was pretty special. We won't get into full the details on this platform, but it was definitely I would say a very special moment. Also, by the way, you run that fucking building.
Not even.
Right. Okay, so let me just peel back the curtain. I promise we'll get to the games and stuff. But before the game, I'll just say that Howard was didn't really know his place in the business in a bad way. I had to tell him yo, you're Howard motherfucking Beck, and he's like, I don't know how they're gonna receive me. I don't know how this is
I
going.
didn't say
They
bad.
put this
I just-
motherfucker front row next to Sam Amick and Malika Andrews, two friends of the program, and you just were like in your bag, bro. So it was dope to see you in your bag.
Appreciate you, Laker PR.
You know?
I haven't been here in a while. They did take care of me. That was
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, they put me and Marcus Thompson in the back of the bus, but it was cool to see that you guys were, there on this great. Let's talk about the game before we, get canceled. This was going to be an interesting game going into it because I really wanted to see how these two teams played against each other because they're so identical in terms of age, in terms of stature in this league, in terms of what they want to prove in this Western Conference. And they felt like they were on parallel tracks. But once the game started, it was very clear, at least from the Lakers' standpoint, that this was Luka's offense. And when he's off the floor, they have a problem. And when he's on the floor, they have a very big defensive issue. DeAndre Ayton couldn't stop anyone. I don't think anyone could. Reeves couldn't stop anyone. It's one game, but the Lakers should have some real concerns. And by the way, there were a lot of camera pannings to LeBron James who did not seem animated in any way. Seemed like he was gonna. Cliff knows this very well. He was gonna do a AJ Brown like tweet or something. It seemed like that was on the horizon. Maybe a subtweet in the next couple of weeks. But we'll see. What did you think of the Lakers' performance? Let's start on that first. It didn't seem great, but I do want to get your take.
By the way, LeBron with like the throne look there, right? He had like what one of my
he looked like
colleagues.
the top of Wizard Kelly. You're not going to get that reference.
He had one of my colleagues called the Phil Jackson seat, right? Because Phil always had the extra padding there.
Yeah.
LeBron just like looming, like even from across the court, you could just see him looming over everything. But yeah, every camera pan, he's like stoic as hell. Like there's no expression
He's
whatsoever.
not getting up and when one of his teammates scores, he's just stoic.
Right. And I'm not going to let's not get crazy about reading between the lines of whatever, but like we know the backdrop. We know the backdrop for this. Like no extension. Rich Paul's statement in late June about, keep LeBron in mind. We know you're on Luka's timeline, but there's just some stuff simmering. Like LeBron's put on a good face in the preseason, a media day, everything. But like that stuff is still simmering in the background. He's on the clock. This is his last season potentially with the Lakers, at least certainly the last contract, the last year of his contract. So like something's going to give. I'm not saying it's going to be a blow up, but like, I don't know. It's just one of those things. And then when you see him all stoic, you kind of just, it makes you wonder a little bit. Like we can't judge the Lakers too much until LeBron comes back. Maybe that's in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to fix any defensive issues they have. Clearly, he might exacerbate them, but he does fix the playmaking issues. And the whole point of the exercise of having LeBron and Luka together right now is you have still an elite playmaker for all 48 minutes as long as you're staggering them for parts of the game. They don't have that. And when Luka was off the floor, to your point, yeah. The offense looks like garbage. Like the ball is not moving. Nobody can get an open shot.
Aiden was pretty bad.
Aiden
was pretty bad. You were referencing Marcus Smart, who had a really nasty, he almost took Steph's arm out of the socket. It was gross.
I mean, this is the problem, man. Their offseason was Marcus Smart, DeAndre Ayton, and Jake LaRavia. That was it. And losing Dorian Finney-Smith in the process. Marcus Smart looks like he hasn't played in 2 years, which arguably he kind of hasn't. LaRavia was okay. Ayton was, I mean, none of these guys are changing the Lakers. And none of these guys are the missing pieces that when they first got Luka in February, like, oh, okay, now you just got to reformat around him. Like, this is what you got. Like, it wasn't great. Again, we're not going to overreact to one game, but I think what we saw from those guys tonight is the limitations that we already knew those players to have. And yes, Marcus Smart had an incredibly erratic game, including nearly yanking Steph's shoulder out of his socket for reasons. I don't know. And then argued the point once he got called for the flagrant after they did the review and was very demonstrative with the refs after arguing his point. I don't know what Marcus Smart was doing.
My favorite thing was a possession later or possession 2 later, he gets fouled by his own teammate and then looks at the ref. Like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, arms out, like going back down.
The Marcus Smart experience, ladies and gentlemen. It was really a frustrating watch if you're a Lakers fan. There was a lot of frustrated fans in there. I don't know what the expectation was for them. I know there's Lakers exceptionalism out here, but all they really got was their offseason was basically in February when they got Luka Doncic, and the other addition that they got was Luka Doncic losing weight.
Yes,
And right.
accurate. Yes,
But it seemed like a very worse version of the worst supporting cast that he had in Dallas, where it's like Luka do everything, and then maybe we can just keep it at bay, and maybe Luka can impose his will. But I don't think the Lakers or the Warriors aren't a necessarily great matchup for Luka Doncic in that way, right? Because they have so many people that they can throw at him, and then they also had the anecdote of multiple scoring options on the other end that were just like punishing the Lakers defensively, right? Like there was so many pick and rolls where there was a mouse in the house, whether they'd have Aiden on a switch against Steph or they have Doncic on a switch against Steph, and they weren't getting offensive rebounds. It was an ugly performance from the Lakers, and I don't know what they're gonna be, but they got a tough schedule coming up, man. They got it on Friday. You're gonna be at this game, but they got the Timberwolves coming up. They got a couple dates with the Portland Trailblazers are pretty hard out. Like it could get ugly.
I don't know if it'll get ugly early. I do think that even if they're just like 500 in the games that LeBron is out, there's going to be some angst about it, right?
Yeah.
And like there is a clear pecking order at the very top of the West, right? Oklahoma's the defending champs, won tonight against the Rockets. I think Denver is the clear number 2. And then the Rockets, who wanted to be in that tier, I think right now are in that next tier, which is jumbled, right?
Yeah.
Like it's Houston, it's both LA teams, it's the Warriors, it's Minnesota, right? Like I think that is the group that's chasing Oklahoma and Denver. Like somebody from that group, that just massive teams, one of them might emerge to be the team that can break through and maybe make a conference finals run if they're the one to knock out Denver or Oklahoma somehow.
Yeah.
And you can make a case for some of them. Like you can find, like you could go best case scenario, right? Oh, best case scenario for Minnesota. Anthony Edwards makes a leap. Julius Randle's a lot more comfortable in year 2 with them. Rudy Gobert has kind of a throwback year as a defensive anchor. Little Dante DiVincenzo, little Terrence Shannon. Like you could like put it together. Like you can create a case for all of these teams if you want to say they've got a chance to break through and at least get to the conference finals and have a puncher's chance. But some of those teams have a stronger case than others. I don't know that the Lakers' case is all that strong. And because it's so much reliant on the fact that LeBron is going to come back from some point from sciatica and then turn 41 and then try to get through a season playing at an all-NBA level in year 20, whatever this is.
Yeah, it's a tough proposition, right? Like I made the joke that the Lakers will probably want LeBron's salary slot over LeBron at this point, and tonight was a reason why.
They need more playmaking. They need more shooting. They need like Luka just needs help. Like there's nobody like.
It was funny. Also, it was very clear that this is Luka's organization from when you saw all of the things that were on the jumbotron and like the little a lot of Luka, like even like the games that are played during the timeout and stuff that you see from media day. It's very much Luka's organization, and wherever he takes them is where they're gonna go. But it's just hard when you have the supporting cast. I don't want to like linger too much because it's just one game, but I do want to get quickly on the Warriors' point of view on this one. We left at halftime, so I had a different impression of Jonathan Kuminga when I left the arena versus when I came back to the studio. He was terrible in the first half, and I'm like, it was looking like, man, like this is the statement you want to make after you called all of that over the summer, and he just balled in the third quarter, and they're gonna need that. He was great. Jimmy Butler was great. Went 16 of 16 from the line at 31. Made timely shots. Steph made like probably the shot of the night, which is what Steph does. We were watching. It was funny. We were watching in the movie theater here at Spotify, and as soon as he made that three, I was like, "Yeah, let's go pod. It's time to pod. Let's get out of here. This game is over with." What were your impressions of the Warriors?
First of all, Jonathan Kuminga, 6 assists tonight. Logan Murdock, 6. You know how many times he had 6 assists last season? Once.
He's on par for
There we go. He's gotten his 1-6.
There's no guarantee that that's going to happen.
No, listen, like the Warriors, like I know, you got to take everything with a little bit of a grain of salt because of everything they've gone through with Kuminga, and they need his value to be up either because it's an asset to them or an asset to move and trade, which is what we expected from the moment they finally resolved the contract situation. But like this organization hasn't given up on him. Like there is some optimism
I
about.
think there's one person that hasn't given up on him in the organization.
Well, the most important person, the guy who pays the bills. But in general, I think that this team, they've kind of straddled the line and they've kind of been of two minds about him a lot. And he frustrates them at times, but you can also see the potential. And I don't think anybody thinks he's a bad guy or a bad player or is not about the right things. It's just about trying to refine some of his habits on the court. And a night like tonight, look, 17 points on 6 of 11 shooting, 4 of 6 from 3. You and I have both had a conversation with someone from the Warriors pregame who was talking about like our 3-point shooting is going to be a lot better this year. And it's not just because they added Al Horford and eventually DeAnthony Melton when he gets healthy, but that they're expecting Kuminga to be a much more reliable 3-point shooter. Smallest of small sample sizes, one game, but 4 of 6, not a bad way to start. 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Like that's a good all-around game from Kuminga. He was giving up the ball in the right moments, right? Like he wasn't stalling it out. I don't feel like he was forcing things. And those are the things that have frustrated the Warriors in the past with him. They want guys who make quick decisions with the ball and who are really intuitive players. And that's Steph for sure. That's Jimmy. That's Pajemski at his best. That's Draymond. And so like Kuminga plays like this, the fun conversation will be in a couple of months, depending on how things are going. Like, oh, wait, are they actually keeping him after all? Like, is he now too valuable to give up? Like that, they would love to have that conversation, I'm sure, or to have that quandary.
Sure. There was a lot of optimism in the Bay Area, at least cautious optimism going into this training camp and during the training camp about Kuminga and like how good he was. Everybody raved about him at camp, and like on one hand, we're reporters by nature, so there's a skepticism that goes like, "Are you really okay?" Of course, you're supposed to say that.
Yeah.
That should be the company line. He just came into training camp late, and he had to get this contract thing situation. But like tonight, kind of validates that point at least for a night, right? And he tends to play really good against the Lakers. He played good last year, late season against the Lakers, so. It's good, man. Like it was a good first start. They're still playing Draymond at center, and starting him at center. He's probably going to start at center for most nights, and then there's going to be like I think Steve Kerr said pregame that Al Horford's not going to be playing back to backs.
Al Horford's not playing back to backs, and he also said they're limiting him to probably like 20 to 24 minutes. And the quandary that Steve mentioned there was if you're only going to play a guy 20 minutes, and you want to finish games with him, and they do.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's hard to start games with him because you're going to have like this massive period in the middle of the game where he's not playing at all.
Yeah.
So you almost can't start him. It's not like, like the perpetual quest of the Warriors to find somebody other than Draymond to start at center all the time. They don't want him to be the full-time center. Draymond played 28 minutes tonight. He started at center. I don't know how many minutes were actually technically at center.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, between Horford, Quentin Post got some run tonight. You would like to have one more body there, right? Like, can Trace Jackson Davis give them something?
I don't know, man.
Like, it's still a quandary for them. They're still
also
small.
like it's gonna be interesting to see what happens with them, like especially with other teams, right? Like, I can see a world where like maybe Atlanta doesn't get off to a start, maybe Porzingis, is available, and maybe they kick the tires on that. Or a big is like, maybe they can make like an ancillary type of trade for a big. I don't know if the roster is set at this point, like especially like if the Kuminga thing goes bad, maybe they try to flip him. They have to get his value up because, I mean, they've basically told everyone, given the impression that they don't like him and that they've benched him for a reason and that he could be a problem, and the rest of the league sees that. So. They got to get his value up, but I could definitely see them making a move for somebody. Especially if they win at the pace that they want to win, and they just kind of, one of those trades where you're going into the postseason, like let's just make a move to fortify our roster. I could see that. So we'll see.
But I will just say, like, this was the thing I was curious about and will remain curious about for a while here because again, small sample size. They played at such a high level after they got Jimmy. Late last season. And it's like, you can't judge too much based on the last like 2 months of the regular season. They were strong in the playoffs too until Steph got hurt. But like tonight was an absolute continuation of how strong they look with Jimmy out there. Butler ends up with 31 points tonight, 16 of 16 from the line. Like, they have nobody else who can generate that kind of scoring from the line. And the guy just makes things happen. 31 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, steal. Just like a really great, efficient, typical Jimmy Butler performance. And I think that's who they are now. Like, I think like there is this version of the Warriors is going to be, the ceiling is only how long do these guys stay healthy? That's it. Like, for every single team, most teams aside from like Oklahoma, you can always find, they need another 3-point shot. They could use a big. Like, yeah, there's stuff. But like, I don't find too many faults with the Warriors other than, can all these guys stay healthy? Because Jimmy, Draymond, and Steph are all pretty old, as well as Al Horford. If they're healthy, there's nobody in the West wants to see these guys in the spring.
Here he goes. Howard Beck falling in love with the Warriors again. Ben Cruz is in here also just egging them on. Let's take a quick break and we're going to talk Rockets. Okay. And we are back. Yo, this OKC game versus the Rockets was very fun. 2 overtimes. Beck is very nervous about this segment because we were at Crypto.com Arena.
We were not watching as much of this game as we normally would. Let's just stipulate.
It was a fun game. It was a fun game to watch during, like, we had the second screen up while watching down the stretch. This game took forever. I feel like they didn't end till like midway through the second quarter of this Lakers game that we were at. It felt like it. Maybe it was. What did you think?
Great game, but like, unfortunate start for NBC after all these years and all the celebrated.
You thought it was an unfortunate start?
Because of the fact that going double overtime on the first game meant they couldn't hold up the second game.
Yeah.
You had to, like, you just had to go. What's unfortunate, it's not unfortunate, like, they had 2 really good games. Like, even though the Warriors-Lakers game was pretty entertaining and, you know, like, they had a great opening night, NBC. Like, props to NBC, everything that we saw, again, in our limited time because we were bouncing around the arena. But, like, NBC had a good night. And getting a double overtime game with the defending champs against a Rockets team with Kevin Durant, a legend, like, all good. But having the games overlap so that now the audience is split between NBC and Peacock, like, not ideal.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah.
And when it was all on Turner, like, Turner would sometimes do that thing where we're going to hold up the second game, and then there's a breaking point where it's like,
we'll throw it on TBS.
We'll put on TBS. We'll put on True TV.
I ain't watched TBS in 5 years, but I'm gonna put it on right. I'm gonna put it on for this. Just watch the start of Mavericks Celtics,
and then a Castle rerun, or Charmed or something.
I don't know. I don't watch TBS. Never. I haven't watched it in a long time.
So that was unfortunate, but they did get a great game,
and
you can't argue with that. By the way, quick aside, as I was thinking about this with these 2 really good games, everybody please take a mental note of this so that when people start coming with the propaganda about how all the great games are in the NBA Cup and they play harder for NBA Cup nights, just remember that the early parts of the season are not just all guys going through the motions. These were 2 really entertaining games tonight where guys were playing their butts off.
Yeah.
There are good games that are not NBA Cup games. Before the propaganda campaigns begin, I just want to note that.
Yeah, we got a mini Beck rant. I'm curious.
That was nothing.
That was a mini one. We'll see if I can rile them up tonight. But this game had everything you could want in an opening night, and how you open a new channel and a new league partner and the marriage with that. But it also showed me, like, everything that I thought about the Rockets, good and bad, appeared tonight, right? Where Şengün is fucking playing point guard. We got a text from Raja that I wanna read on.
That's for Raja to kind of like contribute to the show tonight, even though he had to like go to bed early.
He said,
"Sweet dreams, Raja."
This was at 8:40 Eastern, bro. Amen. This reluctant of a shooter. This is wild, and I'm saying this is what my response. It's really hard when one of your idols joins your team at this stage of your career. He's a young guy. KD is going to probably take the lion's share of the shots. He's definitely going to defer to KD, right?
Yeah.
And this was Raja's response. Maybe, but that isn't why he's not shooting. He's afraid to shoot. In all caps, 0 confidence in it tonight. Hopefully this isn't a season-long issue, but my gut says it will be. He is turning down easy jumpers. And that's fascinating to me, right? Because that was one of the fears that I had, and one of the things that I said on the on our season preview pod, where you want a guy like Amen to grow organically into what we think he's going to be, a great player. But you have an all-timer that plays maybe not your position, but definitely is going to cover up a lot of your spots on the floor, right? And that's something that Udoka is going to have to figure out. But then there's the psyche part of it where in a big moment, he's going to defer to one of the players he grew up watching, it would seem like, right? What is the tension there, do you think? And is that something that we're going to have to look at throughout the season?
I can't wait. Raj will be back with us, of course, on Friday for that show. Because I want to go deeper on this with Raja, because he, as a former player, Raja is seeing the game differently than you are. I are.
He forgets more basketball than we could ever know.
All of it, right? But like, he is so strong in that. Like, that text to us, to the whole chain, was like very definitive. It wasn't just an observation of like, oh, he seems a little bit like tentative. It was like, no, he's afraid, and it's gonna be a problem all season. And I'm like, wow, you're basing, like, this was in the first half.
Yeah.
Like, there was a lot of game to go, and we still got a lot of season to go. So that Raja feels that strongly about it. Raja's not like just like firing off crazy hot takes, and he's thoughtful about this stuff with us. So I'm very curious why his interpretation of that was so strong. By the way, like, I don't think it was like that passive of a performance by the end of it all, because he took 17 shots, Thompson, and he didn't play in the overtimes because he had some cramping issues, and I think he had a knee thing too.
Gotta drink your water, man. Gotta drink your water.
Hydrate. So I don't, like I say, I'm curious to go a little deeper on that with Raj on Friday. I do think Amen Thompson's in an interesting spot because partially what you said, right? Like, Kevin Durant's coming in, like, you're going to be a little deferential even if you're not intending to be, because that's Kevin freaking Durant.
Yeah.
You don't have Fred VanVleet. There were moments in this game, I can't remember, it was like late regulation or early first overtime, where the ball's in Jabari Smith's hands, and he comes across half court, and he just like stopped, picked up his dribble, and now he's just stuck. He's pivoting. Timeout. Yep. They like had to burn a timeout because he just didn't know where to go. And I'm thinking, like, again, not to get crazy with this, but that's one of those moments where you go, oh, Fred VanVleet. That's where you miss Fred VanVleet, right there.
Or like when you have Şengün, who was phenomenal tonight. I'm not going to say
he was incredible.
But you have him doing what he did last year, where he has to take the ball full court and just literally back down a player. I'm not sure you can even do that. There's like a 5-second violation that someone calls.
That's the Charles Barkley rule.
Right. And he was doing that throughout the overtimes, but like, that is not sustainable. And that was the thing that really was scary for me, because honestly, like, OKC could have lost this game. It really wouldn't have meant anything. I know, like, tomorrow, if they would have lost, the NBA Todays of the world, everybody, we talked about this pregame, honestly. I think it was with Malika and Amick, where it was like, what do you think the reaction is going to be tomorrow if this situation happens, right? And we were if OKC lost, we were going to have the talking heads talking, what's wrong with them? But honestly, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But OKC, there were some real, Houston, there were some real flaws there that, like, I don't know can be rectified anytime soon, right? Like, your preseason MVP, Reed Shepherd, was 3 of 11 tonight, right? Like,
not my preseason.
I don't know. I heard you guys really going in on him. I rolled my eyes in the season preview.
You guys,
did you see Reed Shepherd at the preseason? I'm like, yo, chill, calm down. He hasn't played.
All we said was he had one good game.
Bro, everybody within the Rockets, I remember hearing it all through the playoffs last year. Man, hey, Reed, when it's his time, he at this point in his career, he was the pregame warm-up all-star who's like hitting everything, and you're like, man, if he just gets a shot, we'll see what happens. But like, he's not the answer, at least at this point, as a full-time point guard there, right? So that's going to mean is you're probably going to have to put KD as a point guard. I think he is probably the most experienced out of all of them to leading offense, but that takes away from what you want him to be.
Yeah.
The reason why they were bringing Şengün in there was to make sure that Kevin can get post-ups. But again, that's just such a weird, wonky lineup. Like, I know I remember pregame, everybody's like, yo, did you see the Houston Rockets opening lineup? How tall it is, how big it is? It's not NBA 2K, bro. Like, it doesn't work together. And they're going to have to figure that out.
Well, first of all, flashbacks, like, PJ Carlesimo was like roundly just ridiculed for deciding to make Kevin Durant a shooting guard as a rookie.
Yeah.
And here we are all these years later at the back end of his career, and we're rolling out a box score with the lineup where it says Kevin Durant guard, like Kevin Durant shooting guard. It's fine, right? Like the labels don't matter nearly as much today as they did when KD started his career. We are in a positionally fluid era of the NBA, and that's all fine. But like someone has to guard the other team's guards.
Yeah.
Amen Thompson's always going to guard the team's best perimeter player, and he can guard 1 through 5. That's great. Jabari Smith can take on just about anybody, but Şengün is only going to guard other bigs.
Sorry, Michael Pina.
Steven,
I'm sorry. Where's my camera? Is my camera right here for Michael Pina? I'm sorry, buddy. You know, I rock with you, but you got a little bit too much dip on your chip.
Steven Adams is only guarding the opposing center. Who's Kevin Durant guard? Like who's guard? The other team will have 2 actual guards. Like
this
is Kevin,
the defensive conundrum with Kevin Durant at this stage, bro. Where in the postseason, they're either going to try to have him guard a big, or he's going to switch on to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, which literally lost them the game tonight. Where he fouls out 2 free throws for Shai,
got up in the air,
got him up in the air, and you knew it was going to happen, right? He jumped at the first pump fake, but that's something that they're going to have to do because they're going to attack him defensively.
I'm also just worried about the fact that Kevin Durant, not overly concerned, but like Kevin Durant had to play 47 minutes tonight, and that's double overtime, yes, but it was 37 in regulation. That's even high for him at this stage of his career. And the point of the exercise for the Rockets, and I know we've got this now debate about like, all right, is it about like the youth and their long future together because they've got this great young core? To which I still say, no, you got Kevin Durant for now. And that's why I still think they need to go out and get a Fred VanVleet replacement at some point. Like you cannot burn out Kevin Durant in the early parts of a season in which the whole point of the exercise was to have him for the playoffs.
Well, this is the thing about Kevin Durant, like, and the Kevin Durant move that would concern me, right? And we always talk about this on the podcast when it's time to push the button. And what I mean by that is, like, OKC was faced with this a couple of years ago. Remember when they were really good? I think it was 2 years ago when everybody was like, should they make a move at the deadline? Should they trade somebody? And like OKC, if you talk to anybody around OKC, they were like, no, we're standing back. We like the group that we have. And it paid off, right?
Yeah.
And I think we talk about the Warriors. Andre Iguodala was a move that pushed the button for them, right? But you don't want to do that too early. You want to do it at the right time. You push the button on Kevin Durant, you're putting championship expectations on a roster that still needs to grow in a lot of areas.
Yeah.
And that's what's concerning to me because it has the potential, this is just one game, but it has the potential to stunt Mf'n Thompson's growth. And he's supposed to be your guy, right? You don't have a point guard, so you're not able to really maximize what KD can do on your offense. And then you have real issues like down the stretch, I think, you know, of a season when you're playing against the Jokic, when you're playing against the OKC, and you don't have a defensive anchor at all. And so we'll see, right? But these were the concerns that I had for the Rockets preseason. And it's one game, but there was some real concern. And look, they put up points on the board. They put up points. They had 124. But they have to really – this is going to be a real big task for Ime Udoka. Now, like, he can get people in line, and I know he's great on X's and O's, but he's going to have to figure out how to have this roster adjust to a system that's going to be sustainable because there were a lot of flaws in this iteration of them right now.
To your point, in a world where they don't trade for Kevin Durant, and obviously, you know, now Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks are still probably on the roster, and the whole rotation looks a little different. And Jalen Green, you have the whole struggle of like how much should the ball be in his hands because those possessions sometimes go awry. But in a world where they did not push the button, if Fred VanVleet still goes down in the offseason, what are we going to do? Well, we got no mandate to win anything now. We don't have to make a deep run now.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's just, you know, Amen Thompson's played point guard in his past. Like, Amen, it's yours, man. Like, we've got a whole year to experiment with you there and see how much you can grow to that role at this level, at the NBA level. And if VanVleet's back's healthy next year, maybe he plugs back in. In the meantime, Amen's now developed those skills that much more.
Yeah.
And you could just use the year to develop that. But there's an urgency now to where like it fucking has to work.
Yeah.
Because we projected out as a top 2-3 team in the West, and we've got a guy who's an all-time great in his twilight. This might be his last great season, or maybe there's one more.
Yeah. And it was tough too, man, because he was dealing. Like I saw KD where he did the old school crossovers and just hit a shot. I was like, damn, he was sick, right?
Yeah, it's still there.
But you could just see how dejected he was when he fouled out. That was really tough to watch.
He looked dejected and he looked tired.
Yeah.
And after 47 minutes at that age with the miles he's got on him, he should be.
For sure. Let's talk about OKC real quick. I was impressed with the opening that Chet had, but there are still some defensive woes that he has to kind of overcome, right? Like Şengün was taking his lunch.
Just bullying him.
But I was impressed by how they finished. Like ring nights are really hard for the team that is getting the ring, right?
Yeah.
And KD typically plays really good when he goes back to OKC. He really thrives in that environment. So you have all these things kind of coming at you. I was impressed that they were able to win in the way that they won. And they're going to have to slug out a lot of games with J-Dub out and really kind of figure out, from what I've heard, I think the OKC is kind of bringing him along slowly from that wrist, J-Dub. He wants to play, but they're kind of bringing him along and figuring that out. So he'll be back at some point in the future, in the very near future. But I think they can sustain. Like I think Chet has to continue to play well offensively, but he has to get back great defensively. We'll see what happens, but I think OKC's in a fine place. I think Houston needed this game more than OKC.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Chet Holmgren, 28.7 rebounds, 2 assists.
Started like 6 of 6. I got a slack from my editor. Isaac was like, "Yo, Chet is cooking."
He's cooking. But that's what you're going to need from him with J-Dub out, right?
Yeah.
For however much longer it's going to be. Case and Wallace filled in well, like did his usual all around.
Too.
Yeah. Case and 14, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 steals. You know, like you know he's a great defensive player. You know there's a little bit of offensive pop there, some development still to go there, but they've got so much great depth. Like I don't worry about the Thunder in general. Certainly not defensively at all. Offensively, if there's at least one other guy who pops on a given night tonight, it was Chet Holmgren. They're fine. I was actually thinking about the emotions of a ring night from the opposite side, which is, a very young Kevin Durant with Russell Westbrook and James Harden and Serge Ibaka got to the finals and lost. And then Harden gets traded and the Thunder, blow a 3-1 lead against the Warriors. And then KD leaves for the war, whatever. And KD is now there, like cruel twist of fate of the schedule. Like,
they should have just started.
Thank you, Evan Wash,
for KD, bro. They should have did. They should have did that. Netflix. Watch Real Ones on Netflix starting.
We know how much KD loves to be psychoanalyzed, especially by you. No, I mean, listen, like KD having to watch a ring night as the visiting player
for a franchise he built.
In a lot of ways, yeah. I mean, that's and where he's getting booed, and you saw the cameras caught him booing back at them. Which at this stage of your career, like you don't. I mean, tell Kevin Durant you don't need to boo back. That's like telling him you don't need to tweet back either.
But I think that it's like the relationship between KD and Oklahoma City is it's a lot, man. Like I remember going to games when I wasn't at his return game, but I remember going to games where he returned to OKC, and just the way that I think that's a scar I don't think that's never gonna fully heal because there's a lot of different things that are nuanced and he did leave for I got Ben here, so I'm trying. I know that he left for the team that everybody hated, right? And I get it, but I know in his mind he's like, yo, man, that was a home that really rejected him.
Yeah.
And from a human level, that's a tough pill to swallow, right? And I get that, and I know that we've talked about this, where just he still feels he deserves to have his jersey retired in OKC, and he does. But I don't think it'll ever be the same, right? Like, how do you it's weird to see somebody like boo you like that when he's really the reason why that, and he had help, right? Sam Presti, uh, Russell Westbrook, James Harden had help building that, but he was the face of that, of growing basketball in Oklahoma City,
Yeah.
right? And not even just like growing the game of basketball there. Like, he helped that community after a tornado, after a really bad national disaster. And then, like, you boo him like that, you burn the man's jersey. Like, that's gotta be tough. And then the league's trolling ass is gonna make him see that
on ring night.
on ring night. That's so wild,
It's tough.
right? I get it for the ratings, right? I get it for NBC. People got to get paid, but that is that's
Right. Like, you couldn't have sent Denver there.
that's
like,
so fucked up that he got to see that. Like,
Yeah.
he couldn't make it happen. And I know, like,
Yeah.
of all of the places, I think he wanted to, and this is me talking, I think he wanted to win a ring for them the most at the time, right? Because that was the biggest attachment that he had. And at the end of the day, it's just a game. You know what I mean? And for them to like do that, I thought was kind of whack. I get it, but like, it's still kind of whack.
I don't know if the league was consciously thinking of like having KD be there for a ring night and the emotions and how difficult that would be. I think it's more just like, we need somebody on opening night who is going to be an intriguing matchup for the Thunder. You've got a couple choices. You could go with like Denver and Houston at the time, like before Van Vliet goes down. They were like favorites to be the number 2 team, the biggest challenger to the Thunder. So picking from one of those two made sense.
Yeah.
Right? It's not going to be an Eastern Conference team, most likely. You already decided like Steph and LeBron were going to play each other. LeBron obviously was out tonight, but Steph and Luka playing each other. Like, you had that matchup set. Like, I get it. You could get there just as a scheduling decision without it having to be like, ooh, Kevin Durant, like he has to go watch them like
Adam
the
Silver
rings.
just couldn't help himself, bro. I get it. It's wrestling.
I do think it's like, I've thought about this too. Like, I don't know that KD gives a crap about this the way that we do, but the fact that he is kind of like a superstar without a home, right? Like, Oklahoma rejects him and boos him still. He rejected the Warriors after winning 2 championships with them. Brooklyn was a disaster. Phoenix was a disaster. Now he's in Houston. Like, it really is one of those strange things where, like, yeah, LeBron moved around, but like, and we probably will always think about LeBron as more of a Cavalier than anything, right?
Yeah.
2 separate stints, plus their first championship in a bazillion years. And, you know, there were some sore feelings with Miami, but Miami, I think Miami still loves LeBron.
Yeah.
LA clearly loves LeBron. Cleveland absolutely adores LeBron, despite burning his jersey way back in the day.
You know what I think it is, though? Their difference. LeBron has done a way better job. I would say, how do I phrase this? I think he's done a way better job of promoting the mythology of himself.
Well, just managing
and then managing as well. But I think and I get what you're saying about Phoenix, and he's had a weird career, and I know it. I've seen it firsthand. You've seen it firsthand. But like last year or 2 years ago, whenever it was, when he made his first return back to the Bay Area, and he had a weird exit and a terrible exit for some fans in Golden State, and they still gave him a standing ovation, right?
Yeah.
And
because he brought him 2 championships.
Yeah, but there was still class there, man. And it was just disappointing that after all these years, they still like that OKC crowd did that to him.
I would guess if KD had announced before the season, this is my last run, and like he'd have one more game in Oklahoma, right? Because you 2 home, 2 road against every Western Conference team. But like if this were farewell, I think he would have gotten some sort of tribute video and they'd be cheering for him. You know what I mean? Like, I think they...
But, like, I don't know, man, because they did the cupcake shit. You know what I mean? They did
I know,
all
that's years ago already.
But no, but what I'm saying,
I think they boo because it's fun to boo.
No, I think it's deeper than that. Very much so. I mean, like, it was like that when you're... Like, telling someone that when you're covering the Warriors at the time that you're from California covering this team in an Uber in Oklahoma City, it was a treacherous task. It's deeper than that, and it runs deeper than that. I just thought it was. I just really thought, and me and Kevin have had like our spats, obviously. I'm just calling a spade, you know. And I just thought it was whack. And I that's just what I thought from the whole thing. Like, yo, man,
Mm.
he's Kevin Durant.
I hope it works in Houston. I really do.
I really do too.
The guy's been an amazing player to watch. He's had a complicated career, but an incredible career. And this should absolutely be the final chapter. So, I don't know what it ultimately looks like. I don't know if they've got what it takes in the next year or two to beat Oklahoma. I'm not sure anybody does.
Yeah.
But I hope it's,
I hope that I don't think it's gonna happen, but I hope OKC makes that right. They should. Like,
they will.
I don't think that's a guarantee.
I think maybe the city won't want it as much as the organization. I think the organization's a classy organization. They'll do the right thing. And whenever he calls it a career, I think they'll honor him.
Yeah, one can only hope. Speaking of complicated careers, let's talk about MJ's budding television career in the next segment. And we are back. Last segment, because me and Beck gotta go to sleep, bro. It's been a long ass day.
Raja Bell has already been in bed for like 5 hours.
He's sleeping great. He's sleeping. I went to the Chance show yesterday, and I know I'm getting older because I kept looking at the time like, damn, bro, I could really get 8 hours right now, and I didn't get home till like 1, and only got like 6 hours. I'm looking forward to sleeping in. But speaking of Chicago, and one of Chicago's greats, let's talk about Michael Jordan. So he did so it was funny. We came into the theater after the game, or after we left the Lakers game, and Cliff, I think it was Cliff who brought up the Michael Jordan segment, or maybe you did with one of the articles, and immediately I was just like, this can't be good, right? Like, this is like, what is Michael doing? What the hell is going on? So I wanted to watch it because I wanted to talk about it before we got here, and you put it on the laptop right there, and I was ready to hate so bad. I was like, yo, this is terrible. And I watched, it was a 3-minute segment with Tirico, and it was brilliant. He was talking about the reason why he came back. He wanted to pay it forward to the league. They asked him, Tirico asked Mike about the last time he played a shot of basketball. It was a legendary story because Mike always wanted to tell you how much motherfucking money he got. And he was like, I rented a mansion, and the owner wanted his kids to come over, and he was like,
at the Ryder Cup.
It felt like a weird Space Jam sequel, right? Like, he gave me a ball, and I was really nervous to shoot.
Do you think he was actually nervous, or is this like fake modesty, like, or is he? Is he so far? Because
we just talked about it in the last segment. You're a superstar when you know how to be great with your own mythology.
Yeah.
LeBron was good at it. Kobe was amazing at it. LeBron was amazing at it, and is a little on the fence right now, right? But it was a great interview. He talked about how much he missed the game. He talked about, like, it was very emotional, and it feels like I came away thinking after watching that clip, after all these years, like, it feels like Mike wants to be a part of something again, right? Like, for years he's been with the league, but he's kind of hovered, pun intended, over the league. He doesn't really go to games that much. He doesn't really do many interviews like that. You can kind of see him sometimes at a Hornets game, but like, he's just closed off. And it felt like a guy that still, like, you could kind of see it at the 75th anniversary. I'm sure somebody's going to do a profile on Mike. Hopefully it's Wright Thompson, who can like kind of give us some context to all of this stuff that's going on. But from what I see, it felt like after that 75th anniversary, when he's like around the guys, it felt like a beginning of like, oh, I love the camaraderie here. And then you see him at the Hall of Fame recently, like he's fucking shimmying it up with Doug Collins, right? Who's in a walker, right? And he's seeing like, hey, Michael Cooper, hey, such and such. And he's like kind of being a part of the game again. And again, I wanted to come into this, be like, what is Mike doing? Is he having this like crisis or something? But it felt like he just wanted to be back a part of the game. Like, he don't need the bread.
Yeah.
It felt like he wanted to be part of the family again.
It's easy to be cynical about it and wonder, like, what does MJ possibly need with this? And considering that he has, for most of his post-playing career, stayed out of the limelight,
And by the
not
way,
wanted it.
during his playing career, he still hovered above the league. Like I think about even an anecdote, he wasn't even in video games until I think 2012 when he did NBA 2K12, where he had his own licensing agreement aside from the players, and he just
Yeah,
wouldn't, like
forgot about that.
you would have to.
Yeah.
I would have to create Michael Jordan on NBA Live, bro, or he would be like that random dude on the Bulls at like 99 overall. But it wasn't Mike. Like he would always try to. It was the league
Yeah.
and Michael Jordan.
He spent years as the Hornets owner without ever doing local media, right? Like,
Yeah.
like not even the perfunctory. Like, I think there was like one time he
Did like
invited
Oprah like once.
yeah, he would occasionally like have some little quick round table with like 20 people at it or whatever. Like, and that's it. But he's been very, very, very rarely heard from since retiring, since his famous / infamous Hall of Fame speech when he was inducted. Like, there hasn't been a lot. We had The Last Dance, but that was a completely, Jordan controlled, I don't want to say completely Jordan controlled.
It was brilliant propaganda. It was brilliant propaganda.
It was
riveting.
I loved the series. No, I fucking loved the series. It was great. But we know that Michael obviously was able to just tell things the way he wanted to.
Yeah.
Let's leave it at that. He has very rarely been heard from, and certainly not in a setting where it's an interviewer and him sitting down and you can hear a back and forth and you can hear follow-ups and not just something that is completely controlled. And so I don't know where this goes from here, Logan. Like, I'm really curious to see what their use of Michael is. How many of these segments are they going to do? They're calling it MJ Insights to Excellence. And it's these taped segments with him and Tirico. I assume it's going to be Tirico the whole time.
I think they probably just canned one.
They probably just like had one like hour session. They'll just keep cutting it up into these 3-minute segments. They could last the whole season, right? Like, do the math. I'm sure that works. I don't know where else they go with this. I am with you as we watched it here tonight before we started taping. We both were like, oh man, that's like, this seems really heartfelt, right? Like his saying, I've got an obligation to the game of basketball and paying it forward. Okay, I think I kind of buy that. Like maybe he's missing it. And I do think, actually, the one thing that struck me most, if there's nothing else that I think I have learned in a very long time now covering this league, just started season 29 for me tonight. It's that guys like Michael are, and Kobe was this way too, are wired differently than about 98% of the players in the NBA. Where when he says how much he misses the game, that shit's genuine, and you can see it in his face. You can hear it in his voice. There are some guys that it is so embedded in them that walking away is hard, staying away is hard, not picking up the ball is hard. Just like I think part of his distance is maybe just because he can't be in it the way he wants to be in it.
Yeah.
And like, they're not all wired that way. I guarantee you folks, not every professional basketball player is wired that way. There is a sliver of them who are so married to the game, so passionate about it, who are so driven by it that they cannot extricate it from the rest of their being. And that is Michael. And so I do think there was value in like kind of hearing and seeing him talk about that tonight. Like that hit me. But is that I don't know where else they go with this. And we pulled up Awful announcing their summation of this. And the very last line was where I just went, oh no. After the segment, NBC teased more from the Jordan sit-down during next week's telecast. The network plans to air MJ's opinions on load management.
Oh, man.
We don't need it. We have heard every 90s and early 2000s player to every single one of them is checked in already on load management and modern ways of managing minutes. We don't need it. We don't need any more. We don't need anybody else from the 90s to talk about how players today should all play 82 games and 40 minutes a game when we were manlier back in the day. We don't need that. We don't.
You. How do we do it right then? Like what is the right way to do this? Because I do want to the thing is also I want to hear from Mike. I do want to hear what he has to say. Like that's the other thing about this. Like I want to hear his ups and downs, his flaws. Like I don't want to hear a Disneyfication of it. I want to hear Mike. Like he's the greatest player. I don't know, man. There's a lot of people that are going to say like LeBron and all these things, right? But like consensusly, like from a certain generation, he is the greatest player, right? And Kareem is accessible. more accessible than Mike is, right?
Kareem wasn't for a very long time, and then he became more so.
Sure, I'm talking about at the
Yeah.
stage that Michael is in right now. You
Sure.
could actually like feel you could touch Kareem, right?
Yeah.
And even in the video, like I was like, "Damn, is this AI? Like Jordan? Is this really Jordan talking on this?"
I know it looked somehow strange. I
It
don't know
looked
why.
wild because
Yeah.
like he doesn't talk, right?
Yeah.
And I get it, man. Like you look at The Last Dance where he was a guy like he was so famous, like could not come out of his dressing room at all, right? There was always somebody that wanted something from him. And he's been able to live a quiet life, but like I think the game needs him. I don't really if it's produced like that, and I know we was hating because we had this conversation before this podcast, the pre-pod, and I was like, I don't know if I want to hear, but maybe I do want to hear Michael Jordan just talk. Like I think I want to hear him in 2025 just talk and maybe be an old man. It was really cool. It was really compelling for 10 hours during the pandemic. Why
Yeah.
not?
Why not? It depends on what they do with it, right? Like, if you and I got the chance to sit down with Michael right now, like what would we
I'm trying to do it
ask?
like the cigar aficionado dude. Like he was hella good. I want to interview like that from Mike in 2025.
But like, all right, I want to hear his thoughts on Anthony Edwards, who gets so many comparisons to him.
Yeah.
But I don't want to just hear like, oh, I see similarities in style or whatever. I want to hear what it takes to actually be able to live up to that.
Yeah.
And listen, there was, a decade and a half at least of everybody asking who was going to be the next Michael. It was starting when Michael was still in his prime.
Yeah.
And we did the whole Air Jordan, HEIR Jordan, right? And it was Kobe and Harold Miner and T-Mac and
Grant
Vince and Grant Hill and all these people, and nobody could ever live up to it. And Kobe, came closest. But like, I don't know how often Michael talked about it back then. He probably did at times. It's been a long time since anybody brought up the like, hey, listen, we start doing this thing, and it's understandable for us to do it, right? Oh man, Anthony Edwards sometimes looks like it. Anthony Edwards even embraces it. I want to know what Michael thinks of like attempting that, and does he think that's even a good idea? And how difficult does he think that is? And how difficult was it for you being compared to Dr. J or Elgin Baylor or whoever it might have been during his time? Like
Yeah.
I want to hear that. I don't want to hear him on load management. I don't necessarily want to hear him about the 3-point proliferation either, because it's another one that old men from the 90s. This is, by the way, it's my generation's fault, right? It's Gen X who are like clinging to the fucking 90s and a different brand of basketball and being all
You're not the
cranky
only one.
about
I
this
wanted
shit.
NBC to get the rights again for that same reason. So
Yeah,
you're
I
right.
mean, but the crankiness is from people holding on to the basketball that we grew up on, and that includes the players as well as the fans. So, but I do want to hear his thoughts on like the style of play, right? Like rather than hear him bitch about load management, and listen, I don't want to prejudge because we haven't heard it yet, but I'd rather hear like, listen, the rationale for a lot of this is the game is played at a much higher pace now than in your day, Michael.
Yeah.
It is played a much more spread out than in your day, Michael, because of the 3-point game. And guys have to cover a lot more ground, and they're running more miles per game. And also, they're coming in really specialized. I want to hear his thoughts on what it is like, would it be like to try to guard in today's game? Because he was an elite defender.
Elite.
How much harder would it have been for you knowing how much ground you got to cover?
Oof. Yeah.
Also, by the way, how do you feel about all the specialization that like as Baxter Holmes wrote very
Or-
well several years ago, it's the specialization early on and all the minutes the guys are logging before they get to the NBA that are causing the injuries in the NBA. Like I want to hear.
Or did you see like this
that.
this onslaught of European basketball coming when you played in,
There you go.
in the Olympics?
Yeah.
Hey, let's get Tarico on a plane and back to Florida.
But like, listen, for all we know, Mike has asked him a lot of these things.
He's
And
a great interviewer. Like even like
He's phenomenal.
that's another thing that
I love
really-
that Tarico's back on the NBA.
Fuck yeah, man. Like I think I would just say like from everything I've heard pregame and like talking to folks, like I think there's a real excitement for Tarico to be just involved in this. I think you saw that at least personally during the Olympics when you saw the NBC apparatus and the storytelling and all of that. But there was just a calmness with those two. It was a real dance. So I do
Yeah.
trust Tarico to be able to guide the ship and ask the right
Right,
questions.
right. We don't need it to be more mythologizing. We got the 10 hours of the last dance. We don't need it to be old man shaking his fist at the cloud either. So like, I'm curious to see where it goes. I was a little skeptical of like, what is this all about? Why are they bringing Michael back with NBC? Is this just a nostalgia play because it's NBC and we got John Tesh and Round Ball Rock,
Yeah.
so we'll bring in Michael too? It has to be more than that.
And you know, like Michael has like a special relationship with NBC, right? Especially with Dick Ebersol. So like I think he would only come back for NBC, and there's a nostalgia there because he basically like made NBC as a and help grow them into what we
Yeah.
and what we think it was, and the reason why we wanted it back so much. A lot of that had to do with Michael.
Yeah.
And so there's a symmetry there. I I like it. I just can't. I'm really curious to see how this plays out because, like I said, I want to hear what Michael has to say, and I trust Tarico to be able to do that.
For sure.
So we'll see what happens, man. I don't know what timing is because I don't have the clock near me, but I know that V and C got a lot of work to do, and I want to go to sleep. So that has been another edition of Real Ones. I'm Logan Murdock, aka Logie Boo, not the two. That is Howard motherfucking Beck. Shout out Joanne. She was really friend of the show, Joanne. She was really pissed that I didn't motherfuck.
She was concerned.
She was concerned that I didn't motherfuck Beck, and I was just like, it's a season preview. I didn't want to come in too hot. So
Nobody heard from you for 2 months. You've been off, and like you came back, and you were like kind of just like
I was just
easing
trying
in.
I was trying to ease my way in. I wanted to quit
Sorry.
like 25, 5, and 5. Now
Yeah.
maybe I'll give you 40 one of these times. But anyways, that was we'll be back on Friday with Raja, and we'll see you guys soon, man. Real Ones. All this shit's bye.